Alright guys, quick intro. Welcome to my YouTube. I'm going to show you guys how to make this Valentine's Day gift that you can make for that special lady in your life. You can make it for her anniversary. You can just do a whenever gift. That's what my wife likes the best, just a whenever gift. Or you could sell it on Etsy. I sold a bunch of these on Etsy. Anyways, let's get to building. We're going to start by cutting all our pieces. First, cut yourself a 2x2 at 16 inches. If you have a hard time finding 2x2s at your local box stores like I do, then you can always rip down a 2x4. And if you don't have a table saw to do that, you can always just glue two 1x2s together. Now put that 2x2 aside for a minute. Next, you're going to get a 1x4 and cut yourself off 8.5 inches. Now you're going to take that 1x4 and you're going to mark the width of it onto a 1x2. And the reason you got to do this is because they vary in width. Now take that 1x2 you just cut off and you're going to make a copy of it. So just mark yourself the same size on the rest of the 1x2 you have. So now you're going to take the two 1x2s you cut off and you're going to put them like this so you can mark off another section of the 1x2 that is both 1x2s and the 1x4. I hope that makes sense. Don't worry, I'm not going to make that sound for every cut. Okay, now duplicate that 1x2 you just cut out. Buzz. Okay, to be fair, that was a different sound. Okay, so now you need some 5/8 round dowel material, just like this one. Now you're going to cut 3 pieces at 2.5 inches. Then you're going to cut one long one at 11 inches. Hi-ya! Okay, now that we got all our pieces cut, it's time to start sanding them down. I'm using a benchtop belt sander, but you can use any sanding method you want. Okay, now it's time to assemble it. We're going to do it in phases. We're going to assemble part of it, stain it, and then finish assembling it. This is the base. Now, before you commit to gluing it together, you want to look at your pieces and determine what's the best faces. The best faces are you're going to have facing up and out, because that's the faces everyone's going to see when they look at it. You're going to start by gluing the 2 small sides first. Try to keep your glue thin towards the top so you don't get any squeeze out inside the box that you're building. Even if you scrape it off, your stain's not going to penetrate where the glue was and you're going to have blank spots in your stain. Now I'm flipping it upside down so I can clamp it from the other side so I can remove the original clamp because I want it to be able to sit flat upside down on my work surface. And the reason I'm gluing it upside down is so that when you put on the front and the back 1x2s, that top edge that's sitting flat on my work surface is completely flush. Also, don't forget to pick the best side to face out and up, which would actually be down now. Yeah, that wasn't confusing. One more thing about the 1x2s on the front and back is they may be a little shorter now because remember we sanded everything, but that's okay because we're going to come back later and we're going to resand everything to make everything look like it lines up perfectly. Okay, so now we got our 2x2 and you're going to do the same thing. You're going to look and see which side is your favorite because that's going to be the side that faces out as it's displayed. And then which side is going to be your top. So this is my favorite. I'm going to use this, then I'm going to mark it. So I'm going to turn my favorite to the side. I've got this stick already marked because I have done this before. Make a line at 4 inches, 8 inches, and 12 inches. That's 3 even spots. So that means this is going to be my front. I'm sorry, this is going to be the side that faces you, and this is going to face the side. You'll see when it's all together. So on this part, I'm going to mark it at about 3/4 from the top. So now I need to find the center. I'm going to use this little thing I got. Okay. So this is my center. And then if you don't have one of those, you can always put it to the side, use a 3/4 inch board, mark a line, flip it, mark another line. It'll give you something like that, and it's much easier to find. Oh, it'll give you something like this, and then you know right here is the center. So you want to be about right here. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to drill the holes that the dowels are going to sit in. When you drill it, make sure your top is at whatever side you have the battery to, because no matter how hard you try as you drill it, it's going to kick down like this if you don't have a drill press. And if it kicks down like that, it's not as bad, because when you glue this in, your dowel, it might lean up a little, and you'd rather it lean up towards the top than lean down. And you'll see when this is all done why. 1/2 inch deep hole. I got this dowel right here to test each hole. I don't know if I said it, but I'm using a 5/8 Forstner bit. Almost, when you see the Forstner bit get buried, you're almost to where you want to be. I also have my shop vac hooked up. I have a remote right here that turns it on. So I can vacuum out the holes and test it out. I'm almost there. I don't know if you see the line that I have, but I'm almost there.
On this one.
Can you see it? It'll lean this way, but it won't lean this way. So there you go. That's it right there. I'm going to drill the rest of these. I apologize. I can't afford any backup music, so I'm just going to sing. I'm a woodworker, working the wood. So now I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to drill this top hole. Now this top hole, I'm going to go 3/4 of an inch, which is what I have on the other side of this dowel. I got a pencil mark at 1/2 inch, and the tape is at 3/4 inch on the other side. Okay, so my base is all dry. I'm going to sand it up, clean up the edges, flatten this all out. I'm going to sand it down, make it look like I did these joints perfectly, even though I didn't. There you guys go. A little bit of sanding, and it looks like I'm the Woodmaster Pro of 2028. Okay, so pick which side is going to be your front again. So look at both sides, whatever side you like the best, make that your front. If this is going to be my front, take note of the back corner. I'm going to flip this down. This is going to end up being the back corner. And so I'm going to make a hole. I'm going to drill a hole right there. My hole is going to be 1.5 inches and 1.5 inches. And that's where the center of my hole is going to be, because this post is going to sit in this like this. I'm using a 2x4 that I cut as a spacer, and it's also going to keep my other side from blowing out. And then I'm going to use just a countersink bit. Drill, drill. And that should be good. So my next step is to stain everything. I like to stain it before I assemble it, because if there's any squeeze out of glue, it's really hard to get out of these edges. And then when you stain over it, it'll be blank spots where the glue has sunk into the wood. Even if you try to scrape it and wipe it, it's not going to come out. So I like to stain everything beforehand. If you want to stain it and after you put it all together, then just mix these steps around. But I'm going to stain it right now. I like to put masking tape on the areas that are going to receive glue, so this oil-based stain doesn't interfere with the glue. Some people say it's unnecessary. I just like to do it. I got this scrap 2x4, and I just drilled some 5/8 holes in it, the same size as these dowels. And then this is what I put them in to dry. So I'm going to get them all set up, because as I stain them, I'm just going to pull them out of that, stain it, and stick it right back in. Okay, so the stain I'm using is called Provincial, the color, and it's a Behr premium wood stain. Okay, so I'm just using a foam brush to apply the stain, and then some rags that I get from Walmart just to wipe the stain off. If you notice in the corners right here, I have the rag wrapped around a metal, or you can use a plastic, probably be safer, but it's just a putty knife to help me get the stain back out of the corners. Again, I can't afford background music, so enjoy this original song by me. I'm a woodworker, could have been a good twerker. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I wanted to point out the lines that I get from using the benchtop belt sander that go in the same direction as the grain. It's the little fine lines that it gives it. That's why I like using that over the orbital sander. I'm not sponsored by them. That's just my preference. I wanted to point that out. Look at that beautiful wood grain. I just love me some beautiful wood grain. Okay, it's time to start gluing it all up. Make sure when you assemble it that you have the 3 holes of the post facing towards you and the base long ways this way. Okay, now I like to clamp it when I screw it so it's nice and tight. Check, okay. There you go. Now the screw will hold it while the glue dries. Okay, so I took all the masking tape off the dowels, and now I'm going to glue them to the post. I'm just using some Tight Bond. It's actually Tight Bond 3. And then I'm using a toothpick to just swirl it around inside. I put it in here rather than on the post because then when you slide the post in, it sometimes goes around the edges. So it's easier just to put it inside of here. Hold this in here. Now if you can see in this video, there's a stripe on all the posts. And I just make them all go the same way. I don't know if you can see that. I also put a 1x2 underneath of this, so it makes it a nice flat surface to work with. Okay, so now I'm going to clamp it. You don't want to put too much pressure and make the dowels go all wonky. Also, I'm using the 1x2 on the back so the clamps don't mark the wood. And that's it. We got it all clamped up after this one, and we just got to wait for the glue to dry. Tomorrow I'm going to do a clear coat and really bring out this beautiful wood grain, and we'll see how this looks. Okay, I'm using a bare spar urethane because I like it has a little bit more yellowish hue to it, a little bit warmer hue. The clear coat recommends you use a nylon bristle brush, but on these smaller projects with lots of edges and corners, I like using the foam brush because the bristles tend to go around the corners as you're doing it, and you have to keep going over the areas. All right, guys, big reveal. Did you guess it was a jewelry holder? Stick around to the end and I'll show you it in different colors that I've done. It's a great gift for anybody that loves jewelry, and it's a more modern way to store it as compared to the jewelry box. Okay, guys, let me know which color you like the best down in the comments, and if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up to help me with the algorithm, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks. You know what to do. Go out there and get to building.